Hello beer troopers and welcome to yet another Versus Beers with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today battling two beers that one of my subscribers suggested me to battle. I started doing once in a while some macro stuff just for fun. And I realized one of these beers hasn't been in Denmark for years, and I saw it. I was like, hey, that could be fun to do a review on. So we're doing another Versus beer, this time on two of Belgium's most popular lagers. I actually think they're the most popular. We're checking out none other than Stella Artois and Jupiler. I haven't had a Stella in years. I've never had a Jupiler, so it'll be fun to see how these just turn out. It could have been fun to do it blind and guess and one other, kind of like we did when we did the Corona versus Sol, but I'm on my own today, so it's not blind. I bought the beers myself. So yeah, what info do you need on these beers? I think you know them if you're a European at least, or maybe also like international. A lot of people know it. I think in the U.S., Anheuser-Busch really tried for a long time to push Stella Artois. I know they did a lot of collaborative like advertisement videos with cooking channels and stuff where they had to use Stella Artois or I think a Stella cider in some of their foods that they did. So a lot of people know them. Both beers are actually owned and produced by Anheuser-Busch, the biggest AB-Inbev, the biggest brewery conglomerate in the world. And, you know, I I had Stella back in the day. It was one of those early beers I found when I was getting, like, actually it was in the UK. It was in cans. And I actually also at my mom's place, I think, had Stella pint glass. But yeah, I haven't had that beer in years. It'll be fun to revisit. And yeah, again, Jupiler I haven't had. Both are pale European pale lagers. They are made with barley, malt, maize or corn, hops, water, and yeast. And I know that Stella Artois uses Saaz hops. I'm not sure what they use in Jupiler, but kind of similar beers in that sense. So Stella Artois, at least in this iteration, because I know it's different from bottle to bottle, is 5%, and Jupiler is 5.2%. So I think I'll start with Stella Artois just because it's a little less strong, and I'm just fearing a bit this. It looks great on the shelf, but this lime green bottle, this beer is gonna be skunky, and I can kind of smell it from here. So man, my first Stella in probably like at least 10 years, at least. Let's see, 10 years. Yeah, fuck, I'm old. I don't think I've had a Stella since I started the channel. I don't think I've reviewed it on here, but it looks like a European pale lager. Pours out like very golden yellow in the glass. Actually, a decent head. It started around for a bit. Fluffy and white looking. So let's check out the aroma. Yeah, it's definitely skunky. It just, man, it's weirdly nostalgic. It reminds me of when I was really getting into beer and trying different beers, often when traveling. And this aroma of skunked pale lager is somewhat nostalgic to me because trying world lagers back then, or these lagers from around Europe, most of them came in these bottles, and that kind of skunked hop aroma I thought was on purpose. I thought that was supposed to be in there. I thought that was just how they tasted until I learned what skunkiness was. And if you don't know, it's a aroma compound that's kind of similar to, a skunk, the spray that a skunk sprays to run away from predators. And you also call the flavor light struck. The big thing is something that happens when UV rays penetrate the beer, and it has a chemical reaction in the beer, so the flavor profile change. It's something to do with the hops. Basically, it's a hop compound that changes a flavor compound in the hops. And the interesting thing with that is that it turns into this skunky flavor, as experts say. And that's just right on there. Like, this is a great example of skunked beer or light struck beer. The only thing that really gets to me is like skunky aromas and sweet malt. It smells nostalgic, but doesn't smell that great. Let's try it, guys. Cheers. Wow, it's bland. I didn't expect it to be this bland. It's like really, really tasteless. It just tastes like skunky beer water. It really reminds me of American like light beers. Sweet, corny, corn syrupy water. Like, that's really like, think cornflakes. Like, that sweetness. It's got like that, like sweet, corny flavor, and then skunk hop profile. Next to no bitterness. Really thin, but it is nicely dry though, and it does leave a hint of a pepperiness of like a sauce hop or something on the aftertaste. But man, this is so boring. I don't think it's like disgusting or terrible or anything like that, but it certainly ain't good. Man, I can't remember the last time, like 10 years ago. It must have been before I started the channel the last time I had this, because it's not something that's been in Denmark very often. This was just on sale in a local supermarket. It was like a bargain thing when they were 10 crowns a bottle, which is about $2 a bottle. A little less. Maybe a hint of acetaldehyde, but it's very light. But yeah, okay. It tastes like what you expect from this kind of beer. It's not something that's going to rock your world, but if you love pale lager, Euro lagers, you might like it. But let's jump on to Jupiler. I have more high hopes for this one because it's in a green, or not in a green bottle, it's in a brown bottle, so hopefully it won't be skunked. The only problem with this is that, what? Okay, it's just about to expire. So that's the only, well, actually, no, it did expire. It expired on the 1st of October, and we've got the, what, 7th now? 6th? So it just expired. So this is over a year old. This is, okay, so this was brewed in, see, August of this year. So this is notably fresher. So, but we'll see. See if it tastes aged. They look very similar. It's the same color. I think maybe Stella Artois is no. Holding it up to the light, it's pretty much exactly the same. Straw, pale golden yellow, white head. The head wasn't as fluffy as Stella, but let's check out Jupiler's aroma. Yeah, I mean, it's not a lot going on. I actually think Stella had more aroma than that. Yeah, it does. Stella has a bit more hop character. I mean, this again, it's not completely fair because it's old, but I can't get fresh Stella and Jupiter like this. It's the fact that I saw this is quite interesting because I've never seen Jupiter in Denmark. It has a slight papery oxidized kind of thing, but it's very light. But I think it's just because it's an old bottle. Maybe it's a bit of that mazy thing. But let's try it. Cheers. Definitely not skunked, but noticeably sweeter and a little bit more grain-like tasting. It's not like it's sweeter. It tastes a bit more like malt than corn compared to Stella. Yeah, it's a little like corny cereal. There's a little bit of a spicy kind of bite. But Stella has much more hop character. But again, it's of course it has. It's from August this year. This is from October last year. Yeah, Stella's much brighter. This just tastes like old lager. I think fresher, just judging by the substantial malt character in this. If this had hops to follow, I think I would prefer Jupiler over Stella Artois. But as it is right now, I just prefer Stella because it's got more hop character. I mean, both have off flavors that I don't like. This has got like oxidized papery flavor, and this has got skunkiness. But just because this is a bit more bright and hoppy and fresher, you don't notice it as much. Drinking this, you notice like that oxidized sweet kind of papery thing more. Yeah, it's not very good. I mean, both are not very great beers. I would probably never buy them myself. The only time I've had this is like what most beer bloggers, beer people say about beers like this hot summer day where it's just like, I just need something refreshing. I'd rather have like really well done lager beer. I think this is a shame. This is what people think of when they think of lagers, but like really well done pilsners are just fantastic, especially like German ones and whatnot. This is just the very subpar variants, but they are also not called pilsners. They're called pale lagers, which is what they are. So, ratings. Again, they have off flavors. They're not very tasty. It's no way near as bad. Like the Bud Ice I had, I thought was just terrible. That's one of the worst beers I've had this year. I think these are better than that. I think on Untappd, I'd probably go like 2.75 for Stella and 2.5 for Jupiler. I mean, they're around like 50 to 60 something like that. Maybe this one could get a 60, 58 or something, and this would be like just 50, like straight, kind of, I guess, average beer. It's just not really worth it. This was, well, how much did I pay for this? 20 crowns or something like that. You could get a Danish. 20 crowns more. Like 2 bottles of this is the same as a 6-pack of Danish beer. If you just want whatever macro lager, but that's because it's imported. But yeah, they're not that fun beers. But hey, maybe you have a favorite. Maybe you're from Belgium watching this and you have a favorite of the two. Let me know which one it is, and maybe they're just much better on drafts. I don't know. A lot of people often, I remember back in the day when I did videos on macros, claimed, oh man, just because you didn't have it on draft, it's 10 times better on draft. Okay, it's the same beer though, but that's fun. So if you guys had a chance to try either Stella Artois or Jupiler from Belgium, Belgian Pale Lager, some of the most popular beer in Belgium, let me know what you thought of them. It was fun to revisit Stella at least. It's been years. So, if you had them, let me know. As always, once you comment, subscribe. Check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm going to say cheers and some Stella, which is my favorite of the two. And see you guys in another beer review.